Hey guys, it's me, Yaya Diamond. What's up? We got more music. Wait, so it's Pieta Signore. I am not warm. I should never do that while I'm not warm. But I absolutely had to take opera in college. And yes, I did 2 years of Italian opera, of all things. I still don't know what I was singing. But anyway, never mind that. All right, so we have a gentleman here that is just an amazing person. But before we get to him, I want to do this. I literally want to go ahead and put this up there, spirituals. And you guys know that I am all into it because my great uncle was Robert McFerrin Sr. and he sang Raising the Sun, Porgy and Bess, and he sang Negro Spirituals. And this just touched me like to no end. I am just so very excited to have my next guest on. But before we do that, I must do this. Hold tight, guys. I'm going to go ahead and go into something really cool.
You see, and you see, my people found in the grandeur of the biblical word and poetry a fountain of illimitable solace. You see, the text of these folk songs are a blend of versified religious paraphrases and amplifying remarks of the poets. You see, the spirituals share basic human qualities, regardless of race, creed, or color. And they speak of that endless search for a better understanding of the divine law. The divine law which shapes the destinies of men. These Africans captured for the southern plantations brought with them many parts of Africa. Their various cultures, skills, and a creative power. These transplanted Africans fused their American experiences and then produced a new art, the Afro-American religious folk song, the spiritual.
Oh my gosh. That just like touched me so you don't even understand because I was all into it and then I forgot that it was just a little excerpt. But we do have the gentleman that is doing this, and his name is Jackson Caesar. I hope I said that right. It's either Cesar, because Cesar is like a Hispanic name, so Cesar, or it's Caesar or Cesar. Cesar. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter because he is an American recording artist, singer, producer, lecturer, educator, documentarian, and an author. And I want to welcome him to the show. Thank you so much, Jackson, for being here. I know I probably tortured your very last name, and I'm so very sorry. Is it
It's okay.
Cesar? Is it like the
It's actually
player?
Caesar, and
It's Caesar.
actually it depends on where I go in the world. When I was
Mm.
in Italy, they pronounce it differently because
Cesar.
yes, yes, or
Yeah.
it can be Kaiser.
I Kaiser. That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. That's true. Kaiser. That's like no one ever thinks Kaiser though. It's
yeah,
like either Caesar or Caesar.
or Cesare. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Thank
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you.
you for
And
having me.
no matter what name you called, you kind of know it's you.
Oh, that's so true. I know it's me.
No, it's you. It's you. So, for the most part, I mean, tell us how you really truly immersed yourself into this. And I know that this is like Black History Month, and you got the spirituals, but tell me why and tell me how.
So I was introduced to the music of Roland Hayes back in 2008 when I was studying voice lessons at the University of the District of Columbia. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was teaching at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania at the time. And he passed away last year, as a matter of fact. But he says, well, since you're taking voice lessons, you need to sing the songs of Roland Hayes. And I was like, I don't know who that is. And he goes, oh, he sings a song called Little Boy. You need to learn that. So he sends it to me in the mail. At that time, I give it to my voice teacher and I said, okay, so someone sent this to me and said that I should probably be singing some songs from his collection. And it's called My Favorite Spirituals. And so she looked at the book and she says, oh, yes, you need to learn a lot about this man. You need to know about Roland Hayes. So I took it upon myself to look into his life, his music, and his legacy. And I was blown away. And I was like, wait a minute. How is it that I've never heard of this guy before? And he's got a stack of a collection of spirituals. I'm like,
Oh,
who
wow.
is singing his material? So I started going through the material. Now, I've been to many concerts and recitals where people sing spirituals. Now, I call these pop tunes because some of the spirituals you've heard before, like Right on King Jesus, Deep River, these are the pop
Yeah.
tunes we hear all the time. But in this collection, these are songs that you've never heard of before. I was just like, wait a minute, I've never heard of this guy before. So I'm so glad that she allowed me to sing some songs from his collection. And I was just blown away because he has a whole book out, and a lot of the songs we have not heard of before.
That is amazing. And I'm looking at your website, as you can see here, and I'm seeing that you have some things coming. Well, you did that
Oh
when
yeah, I just finished
yeah,
it all, so now it's all
yeah, that
interviews.
sucks. Wait a minute. That's so I'm so late. But how did these go? And you tell me, because you were saying earlier how a lot of times people will actually raise their hand with questions. Did you get questions about who this gentleman was? Who is Roland Hayes?
Yes,
After you do your shows?
right. So what happened is I decided this book has 30 spirituals. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, I need to put these together in one concert. I want to be able to do a full. I've never attended a concert full of spirituals
Hmm.
from like a solo artist. It's
Right.
always been like classical and then the end in spirituals.
Hmm.
So I had to choose. So I chose 20 of the 30 and I started touring it. And this started in like I used to say 2009, but I think it started in 2010, really.
Hmm.
So I started touring it. And then at the end of the concert, I'm like, thank you. I've sung 20 songs and I'm done, right? And then people started raising their hands, and I'm just like, oh, okay, yes, how can I help you? And they started asking questions about, well, did he have any children? Was he married? And and I was like, okay, so I'm answering questions. And I'm like, okay, so this has turned into a Q&A. So
Wow.
then I decided to, yes, as you're showing there, I decided to come up with a bundle because I'm like,
Right.
it depends on what they want for. So now, whenever people call me up and say, we want to book you to do your Roland Hayes project, I'm like, okay, pick a bundle. And what's been popular lately is a lecture mini concert. And I'm
Mm.
actually having fun. I did that last weekend, as a matter of fact.
Oh
And that
my
was so much
gosh.
fun to be able to give a presentation and to talk about his music, his life, and his legacy, and then to conclude with a few songs. And I sang about 7 songs, no, maybe 8 songs,
Hmm.
and they loved it. And so I've just been,
Wow.
yeah, it's just been a wonderful experience to have to hear about his music, his life, and his legacy.
That is so unique. I am so sorry. That's like I have not heard of anybody say, okay, well, I want to see this. Pick a bundle. Hey, what?
So first bundle can be a full concert, and if they're okay with Q&A, we can do that. The second bundle could be a mini concert or a lecture and a mini concert, and then the third bundle can be just to bring me in, because I've been on panels before where
Hmm.
they're having a panel about the spirituals. So I've been on panels before, or if you just want to interview me, like I did an interview with NPR News not too long ago, and it was just that. So
Hmm.
sometimes you just pick a bundle. So yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna have to do bundles.
Yeah, it really helps consolidate things.
I mean, it's like, okay, so, that's a brilliant idea. That is so good. I love that. I love that idea because not only do you bring something new and refreshing and but old and historical, but you also can bring if they decided like the whole history with it. It's
Yeah.
just ingenious.
Yes, thank you. I'm
That
glad I
is
could help.
ridiculous. My
Well,
God,
I tell you what, I listen to my fans.
my
And
God.
when I hear them, I pay attention to my fans. And this is what's helped my career today because of my fans. I listen to my fans.
That
Yeah.
is wonderful. Maybe I should be listening to them. I always do. I always try. But so tell me about this. Okay, so we are in Black History Month. We get 28 days.
That is correct.
You better hurry up. You better hurry up because it's a few days less than everybody else.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
So, I mean, we got the short stick of it all, but it doesn't matter because we got a stick. And within that, how important is it that we use our stick to actually promote Black history, especially in these days and times when they were taking history out of the school systems and everything, and they're changing everything, and they're making us look like as if we were only slaves, and we weren't. We were kings and queens at one point. Um,
Yes,
I see that a lot of whites are actually teaching African American and Afro history because
yes,
they say that it should not be excluded. So it's not just Black people doing it or African Americans, it's Caucasians, it's people seeing that, this is an injustice. And February is Black History Month. So, how important is it really for us to know our history?
well, I'd like to say this first that Black history is American history. That's been the theme here lately, that everyone's saying Black history is American history, and you can't get
Mhm.
away from it. They
Right.
can try not to talk about it, but there's no way around it. If anyone has lived the American dream, it has been the Blacks or the African Americans. Why it's important, and that's why it's important. Other reasons why it's important is because a lot of people don't realize, and some Blacks don't even know this either, but Kent State in Ohio. Have you heard of Kent State University?
Yes, of course.
Yes. So okay, okay, Dr. Carter. Yes. So a lot of people don't realize that it started at Kent State. It was it always took place on the second week, or that particular week of Abraham Lincoln's birthday and Frederick Douglass's birthday. Abraham Lincoln's birthday is on February 12th. Frederick
Hmm.
Douglass is on Valentine's Day. So it was always going to be around that time that they celebrated the Black history. So it was
Hmm.
like 3 days, and then it went to a whole week. And then
Right.
it started jumping around to different universities. Now, Kent State is not an HBCU, although it started there.
Okay.
So it started jumping around to different universities, different colleges and universities. And then it was during the bicentennial
Hmm.
celebration of President Gerald Ford. So we just had President's Day yesterday. And I
Right.
always say to people, if there's one president that I give recognition to, it's President Gerald Ford, because it was during the bicentennial celebration of our country being 200 years.
Hmm.
And he says, why is Black History 1 week? Why is it just 1 month in certain areas and 1 week in other areas? He goes, I'm going to go ahead and make it at a national observation. And so because of President Gerald Ford, we have Black History Month
Wow.
officially.
That's
And so a lot of people go, oh, they gave us the shortest month, but he was actually jumping on our bandwagon.
right.
So we started with 3 days and then to a whole week. And then it became a nationwide thing. And then we started going, let's just go ahead and go with the whole month. And then he goes, let's go with it
That's
nationwide.
right. Come on, we went from 3 days to 28. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, yeah. So, I appreciate what we can get, because any
Yeah.
contribution we can give to our nation, it's valid regardless. Just get it out there. And as you mentioned earlier, that the whites are now starting, or we'll say academia or the mainstream is starting to incorporate what we have contributed to this country.
Exactly, they are, and it's. I think it's beautiful because there's so many different. I don't. Okay, so how do you say this? Like people who are not of color adopting children of color. There's a lot of cross going on. Where grandparents that are completely Caucasian have mixed black and white children, grandchildren.
Yes.
So they're understanding that this is not something that's not touching them,
Yes.
and they want their grandchildren and their children and their adopted children, their foster children, to understand that they are someone special, not
Yes.
just slaves, or you come from
Yes.
slaves or this, but you come from a culture that's rich with music, with love, with admiration, with history, with farming, with culture and clothing and
And
leather and
heritage.
everything. It's just
Yes.
wonderful.
There's a richness in the African American diaspora, or the African diaspora. One thing that I found that is quite fascinating, and even Roland Hayes, when he mentioned that there's an endless search to the divine law, as you played earlier, me portraying him on my project there,
Mhm.
he says that all the Africans brought with them certain things. Now, here's what's fascinating about the spirituals. Roland Hayes said that they brought with them certain things. Now, if you have studied or have observed many cultures in Africa, their
Mhm.
languages, because they have a vast, of languages. Now,
Right.
a lot of the languages uses symbols and codes
Hmm.
to communicate. So it's no surprise that when the pilgrims or the missionaries came to teach us the hymns, that we basically put a twist on it
Yeah.
because of what's embedded in us, right? And so
Yeah.
we gave it a double entendre, as they say. And so we had these codes and symbols in a lot of the music.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
that's the power that Roland Hayes is speaking of, the power of the spirituals, because it's not just like, oh, we're singing a song, but yet there's a double entendre, meaning there's a code, there's a symbol
Yeah.
related, symbolicism to it that's related to who we are. And
Hmm.
that's how we spoke, that's how we communicated. And it's just fascinating to me that the spirituals did that. And with the troubles that we're going through right now, we might need some more spirituals. You know
Oh.
what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. Like, here he comes. Here he comes.
We might need to go back to some spirituals, man.
Tell you what, I tell you, it sounds like Mr. Roland Hayes is your favorite or most inspirational character. So when you learned about him, was he or is there do you have a favorite? I mean, who is the most influential and favorite that you may have today from Black history?
Well, it depends on which area of profession that they were in.
Okay.
So, yes, for music,
That's a big answer.
yeah, right. I mean, because it's not just one; it's like quite a few. So,
Oh, okay.
if you want to go into like the medical
Well,
field,
yeah.
I can give you somebody. If you want to go into, it depends on the field or the subject
Gotcha.
area that they were in. So, yes, for
Mhm.
music, he is because it wasn't until I'm originally from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and
Okay.
it wasn't until I moved to Washington D.C. 22 years ago that the spirituals was this new thing for me. And there's an appreciation of the spirituals that I mean, in the DMV area out here
Mhm.
that I'd never experienced back home. And it blew me away. And I was like, well, wait a minute now. I need to learn more about these spirituals. And then when I got to his music, in that songbook that he has, there's sections in there where he's actually teaching you, like he did in
Mhm.
that example that you played earlier.
Right.
This is why I had to portray him because I'm like, people need to know that this is what he said. You
Wow.
know, he's teaching you about the spirituals and the richness in it, not
Mhm.
just to be taken lightly. You know,
Right.
that there's something unique and something genuine for it, and we can learn something from it. Not just music, we can learn something from it. And I think that's very important to our culture, our nation, and it just moved me. So that's where it all started. So he was teaching me the spirituals, and now I have a greater appreciation for them because I
I
didn't have that at first.
I hear you. And again, until you know thyself, because I say that until you know thyself, until you know where you come from, like the pieces of you, because as you dig deeper into your own makeup, you go, and as you get older too, you want to know, like, wow, I'm like me, I'm part Irish, but I'm like 15% Irish. That's a lot of percentage of Irish.
Uh huh.
So I have no idea what Ireland looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I have Irish cousins that live in Ireland.
Uh huh.
I don't know them. It would be beautiful to know a piece of you. So that would be a culture that's completely new to me. Like, a lot of us, we walk around, we're dark skinned and we don't know our own culture. And
Yeah.
I think, there comes a time where we go, wait a minute, hold on a second. I must have been, or I must have come from better genes than what they're telling me. And obviously, you have a documentary out. Tell me about that. What inspired you to do that?
So what you have up there in the corner there, the spiritual celebrating the music, life, and legacy of Roland
Mhm.
Hayes, that is the documentary. Now it's an audio documentary. So people are
Okay.
like they're placing their order and they're like, I got your DVD. I'm like, actually, it's an audio documentary. I did what I could afford.
I know.
And so when you listen to it, and it's online too, but when
Mhm.
you listen to it, the first disc, it's in 3 discs. The first disc is the concert experience. And I
Mhm.
put that together to say, because Roland Hayes never put together an all spirituals concert. He
Mm.
always performed the classical pieces first, and then he concluded his recitals and concerts with spirituals. And in fact, this, if you've ever attended a recital of a classical student or a professional, everyone starts out with their classical pieces, and they always conclude with the spirituals. Roland Hayes was a trendsetter for that.
Wow.
Yeah, he started that movement, and then everyone picked up on it, and then now it's a global thing. Everyone's doing it, not just the blacks. Everyone's doing. Anyone who's studying music, they're doing that, and it's a wonderful contribution. It's a wonderful tribute, shall we say? So the first disc is all of the 20 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second disc is me portraying him as he's telling his life,
Mm.
giving us information about his growing up when he was with his father and his mother. Then, when his father passed away, they relocated to Chattanooga, Tennessee. While they were there, he was growing up, and then he moved to Nashville, Tennessee, to attend Fisk University, which is a HBCU, because they were the Fisk Jubilee Singers. If you've heard of them, they were
Right.
internationally known.
Mm-hmm.
Roland Hayes became a Fisk Jubilee singer and
Right.
began singing with them and touring with them. There's an interesting story about that. I'm gonna try to not bounce around so much, but I have to share this. Roland Hayes did not finish Fisk University. He was there for like 4 years. They kicked him out because he started singing with the Fisk singers, and then he formed an ensemble group, and then he started getting paid, on the school's name. Yeah, and that's a no-no. So they kicked him out of that, out of school for that.
You got kicked out.
Yes,
Oh
but
my goodness.
here's the
Oh.
kicker, though. Roland Hayes takes his money and he goes right back to Europe because that's where the Fisk Jubilee singers were singing for kings and queens in Europe. So
Mm-hmm.
Roland Hayes goes back to Europe and basically says to the kings and queens, "Do you remember the group, the Fisk Jubilee singers? I was a member of that. Now I'm here alone. I can do a concert for you." Then he became a staple singer, and they invited him. So then, next thing you know, he's touring Europe for 12 years.
Oh my gosh. Stop it. We make so much, we make our lives so complicated. That was just so simple.
I know, right? He had the drive. He took a risk, and that's the thing
Mhm.
about being an artist that separates you from just being a performer. If you're
Right.
an artist, you're willing to take more risk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. He took a risk and went out there and and then he became a staple singer, performer, and then now we know of him today because of that risk. He spends 12 years over there, then he comes back to the United States, relocates from Georgia, Calhoun, Georgia, where he's from, and goes to Boston, Massachusetts area, but he lives in Brookline. And for the remainder of his life, for the 50 years of his life there. And I mean, it's a fascinating story. He
Oh
gets
my
an
God.
opportunity to sing, the first African American to sing with a major symphony orchestra, which is the
Mm.
Boston Symphony Orchestra.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And
Oh
then
wow.
he does three major concerts at Carnegie Hall,
Mm-hmm.
sold out every time. Funny story about Carnegie Hall. He gets the old phone book and he goes through and he's calling everybody in the phone book saying there's an amazing singer who's going to be in concert at Carnegie Hall. He's taking risk, right? I mean, like he was his
I love him. Oh
own.
my gosh. That is just so, I have to wait a minute now. I am undershooting myself here. Like literally, I have to go.
Yeah. I'm telling
Oh my
you.
gosh, really? Duh.
Yeah.
Duh. Oh my God.
And now we know of him today, so it's like he worked hard. He worked hard.
Oh my gosh. That is just like duh. You know? Oh my gosh. That is so, I mean, so grassroots.
Yeah.
So grassroots. So
Yeah.
you have your audio version, and I do have that up here, and people can go to your website jacksoncaesar.com
Yes.
and
Yes.
check out all the pages that we've been showing on
Yes, and there's a booklet that comes with it too, and it's got some information in it that you probably can't find anywhere else. So I'm pleased to share that as well.
awesome,
So,
awesome. And you also have a song, you have the audio, you have a song, you have a question. Okay, so you do the struggles and experiences during the show as well?
yes, I
Mm.
do talk about that. It's also on the audio as well.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
only thing the only thing I did not mention is when he was younger and he worked in a factory and
Mhm.
he got injured, from a conveyor belt. I
Oh.
didn't mention that, but that's when he decided to go into music full time because his father passed away, so he had to try to be the man of the family. Uh,
Hmm.
Even though he was the sixth of seven, he was trying to step up his game to help his family out.
Yeah.
But he almost died in a conveyor belt,
I
so
would have
I
left
didn't share
too.
that part.
I would have left too. Would have been like, oh no.
Time to go back to those spirituals.
Oh, I almost lost my finger there. Almost lost my
Yeah.
finger.
Uh-huh. Time to sing a spiritual. I'm out.
I'm out. I can use my voice. I don't need to use anything else. I'm good. He called people on the freaking phone. There is.
Yes. Yes, and so, but when he was in Chattanooga, he was taking voice lessons, and he heard an audio recording of Enrico Caruso, who was a famous Italian tenor.
Hmm.
Enrico Caruso, and it was on a phonograph, and he was just like, "Well, I've never heard singing like that before." And
Wow.
so that's what made him. Well, that's what inspired him to take voice lessons, to end up going to Fisk University and becoming a famous singer. He wanted to be like Enrico Caruso.
You have got to be kidding me. I have learned so much on this interview today that I am ready to get the old yellow book pages. I'm calling you.
Okay.
Okay? I'm gonna call you and say, hey, there's a new band in town.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah! That is just so grassroots. It's just amazing. And your show, you as a vocalist as well. I mean, because all this time we've been talking about Roland Hayes and what he's done, but you are actually the voice behind him now. You are the one shouting in the wilderness that he did exist and that he has done so much for the music industry and for Negro spirituals and things like that. What about you? When you put yourself into this, what does that make you feel like?
Representation, right? I feel like
Mhm.
I'm helping to keep his legacy going. I'm helping to keep his story alive. I'm helping to keep the spirituals, which is deeply rooted in who we are as Americans. In fact, I feel like the spirituals they are the Kickstarter to many of the genres that we have today.
Mhm.
When you consider the
Yeah.
blues, when you
Right.
consider the swing and jazz, when you consider
Mhm.
the gospel,
Mhm.
they came through folk music. And so I feel like by me doing this, I'm going to keep that alive because if we're not going to teach it in schools, then we got to share it some other kind of way.
We
If
do.
we're not going to share the true American history, then I'm going to be the one, I'm going to be that voice to share the true American history.
I hear you. I hear you. Wow, that is amazing. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And, JacksonCaesar.com, Cesar, and
Thanks
what's
for
the other
having
way
me.
you pronounce it? Um,
Caesar.
what was that?
Jackson Caesar.
Jackson Caesar, Cesar, Jackson Cesar for all the Spanish people out there. Cesar. And then you have, what was the other one? Was with the hard C, the K, the
Oh, Kaiser.
Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser Permanente, that's German for Caesar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you're German, it's Kaiser.
Uh-huh.
Jackson Kaiser. Okay, we just want to make sure that we're supporting. I truly, truly appreciate what you're doing. And I think it's a selfless thing to actually put yourself behind someone who's already done something. And it kind of like, and I'm not saying this in a weird way. It's kind of like putting, Roland before you, and people remember Roland before they remember you. How does that make you feel?
I don't feel bad at all. I feel really good about it because I feel like it's inspirational to me. And when I share his story, his music, his life, and his legacy, it's inspirational to everyone else. That's the wonderful thing about inspiration. It
Mhm.
just continues to inspire.
Wow. And some people want to do this. Some people actually want to do something for their culture, for their mama, their daddy, whoever that came, that to put that person that really represented what they feel was the ultimate representation of what they believe. What kind of advice do you give those people who want to start? I mean, there is no yellow book, phone book pages anymore. She can't be making no phone calls. But what can we? Because people go hung up. They're gonna hang up anyway. But
Yeah,
what
times have
can we?
changed, right?
Yeah,
And people, if I get a call now, I'm not going to answer it because I don't know that number,
exactly. Yeah.
But I just say to everyone, just like Roland Hayes inspired me, because someone had to tell me to, Jackson, you need to believe in yourself. You've already got it. Everything you need is right in you. You just need to believe in yourself. And Roland Hayes believed in himself. and he took risk.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to share our heritage, the richness and
Mm-hmm.
the African American culture. And so I think that's what we should be doing. So I take that from him and I pass it on to everyone else. Take a risk, follow your dreams, and keep the culture.
Definitely. Thank you so very much, Jack.
Yaya Diamond, thanks.
Oh my
This was
God.
a lot of fun. I really appreciate that.
I absolutely love it. And I think that you're doing an amazing job. Keep going. And you're inspiring me to do some bundles.
Oh, okay. I love it. My pleasure.
Let's
I'm
see
happy
what
Black
happens. You
History
know how it
Month.
is. It's like you get inspired to do so many different things because I've learned so much from everyone that's been on this show and from you as well. And it's a wonderful thing to see that, we are continually learning about
Yes.
things maybe in the past, maybe ourselves, our futures. And I want to thank you so much for being here and for showing people what you're doing and also for doing what you're doing. What are you doing next?
Well, there's a lot. I have enough on my calendar to keep me busy. I always start with December because that's my banner month.
Mhm.
From Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas, I'm busy. I'm on tour with like Christmas concerts everywhere. And then I get a break in January. And then February, I'm busy. Now, a lot of the things I don't put on my website, I have to clear this up because I'm a ballroom singer. I get hired to do a lot of private engagements. So, like I had one yesterday, I wouldn't put it down here. I have one coming up next Sunday. I can't put it on my website because it's private. But when I do have something that is open to the public, I do add that to the website. But I am very busy performing all over in the month of February with the Black History Project, which is this as my Black History Project. And then I get a break, and then there's award ceremonies for April and May because people are graduating. So I get invitations to go there. And then during the summer months, because I have a book out, I do a lot of workshops and master classes during that time. So I have enough to keep me busy.
Oh
But
my
I
God.
do have some other projects coming up. I'm working on a children's book for Roland Hayes. I can't talk about it because I
I'm
found a
already
publisher.
tired.
I found a publisher, so I have to wait till they say I can talk about it.
That is wonderful. My gosh, Jackson,
Yeah.
you go, boy. This is
That's the plan. I'm going to keep going.
Thank you so much, and I want to tell everybody to keep their eye out on your website for any upcoming dates that you might, be available in their area.
Yeah,
It's
thank
just
you.
such a pleasure to have
It's
you. Thank
a
you
pleasure.
so
Thank you.
much.
Happy Black History Month, and thanks for having me.
Happy
And
Black History
you
Month.
keep going yourself.
I will. I'll do my best.
This was fun. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go to jacksoncaesar.com and check it out. We're going to have in the description box, we're going to have that website along with a few different things. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. But most of all, don't forget that you came from special stuff too. All right. Not excluding anybody here. All right. Everybody here has someone that they want to probably highlight. Go ahead and highlight them. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you tell people about your person. It might be your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, someone like Roland. It could be anybody. But don't negate to highlight them. I want to thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye.